you might get some corn to do it, or you might get some rice. Now, they're the only place in America at the time where rice was grown successfully was in the Carolinas. In fact, this rice comes from the only rice plantation left in South Carolina. This rice is supposed to be from the same original strain that they grew back in the 1600s. So you would have been given, this is a gill about 4 ounces or so. Congress later upped that to a pint, if you could get that. And if you didn't have anything else, whatever fresh vegetables you could get. Now we know the British one time, they got so tired of eating salt meat and bread, they're like, we can't find any vegetables. We can't even find us a good cabbage. And I know a lot of people, they're like, ooh, cabbage. But, I happen to like cabbage a lot. But cabbage could be very tasty. They could also preserve it, like in sauerkraut and other things, to last a long time and provide good nutrition. But there were many days, even the well-supplied and well-fed British Army said, give us some veggies. We'll take the veggies. So this is what General Washington wanted his troops to have. But the sad fact is it was difficult to get the food. We know the American Army went many days without food at all. They had nothing. And now those wonderful folks kept together and did their job. They just, I'm in awe of what they did. But a lot of guys got very creative in cooking and learning how to do things. And that's what they would do. 2 of the kettles you see over here, these are typical of what you would find in the 1700s. These are both made out of tin. This is a 2-gallon cooking kettle. That would have been given to what they call a mess. In the Army, you would have a tent, and each tent would have 6 to 8 guys, and they would share their food. They would share cooking responsibilities, and they would be issued something like this, or maybe even a cast iron cook pot. This is a smaller, rare one. This is a 2-man mess kit. So if you were lucky enough to have food, and you wanted to share with one guy in particular, you could do that, and you could even use the lid as a plate to serve with. But think about this, guys. No electricity, no microwave ovens, no food where we can just add hot water to it. None of that. You had to cook your own food. Now, General Washington got a little concerned about that because he said there's not too many soldiers that know how to cook. Because come on, guys, at home, who does the cooking most of the time? That sweet, loving mom. Now, I know dads help and brothers and sisters help, but usually it's mom that keeps everything going. But when you're in the Army, mom's not there. So you guys had to cook your own food. So whatever you got, you had to learn how to cook together and hopefully make it tasty. How would you start a campfire to cook your supper with? They didn't have matches back then. They didn't have lighters, and they certainly didn't have gas stoves or electric stoves. So what you would do is get something that can burn. Now this is jute material, and what you do is you take it, unravel it, until it got to the very fine fibers in there, and then you make a little pile of them, almost like a bird's nest. Then you'd come over and get your piece of flint and a piece of steel, and you'll get down next to this kindling material, and you'll start striking the flint. Let's see. Now that's the problem with flint. It's a very good material, but it breaks off. The idea is it's supposed to create a spark, and the spark gets in there, then you blow on it and try to get the fire to stir up and keep going. So that, but imagine that. Now I've been doing living history for about 17 years now. I still haven't figured out how to make this work. I used to be in the 1st Virginia Regiment, and we did a lot of activities at Mount Vernon, which is an awesome site. I can remember one day after we came off the drill field, we wanted to cook lunch. 45 minutes we tried. So the captain finally said, guys, go next door, see if we can borrow some members out of their fire. So luckily we had a little pot, and they let us have some hot coals out of their fire so we could get started. Otherwise, we probably wouldn't have had lunch that day. But so imagine, boys and girls, so that's what this material, anything light like this that you could use to start a fire with.